The sting spread across my cheek like fire. My husband stood over me, his hand still raised. "You don't ever question where I go, you hear me? Ever." I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I pressed my palm against my burning skin and looked straight at him, not with fear, with something he didn't recognize yet. He thought that slap silenced me. He had no idea it woke me up. My name is Nadine. I'm 35 years old. I work as an administrative coordinator at a mid-sized insurance firm. It's steady, unglamorous work. I organize files, track records, manage schedules, the kind of job people look right through. I married my husband, Derek, 8 years ago. I was 25 when we met. He was charming and ambitious. He said all the right things at all the right times. My own family was small. My mother passed when I was young, and I was raised mostly by my grandmother, a woman who taught me that patience and silence were survival tools. Derek's family was the opposite. Big, loud, and completely wrapped around him. He was the favored son, the one everyone believed could do no wrong. They treated me like an accessory to his life, a decoration that came with the marriage. Over the years, Derek took control of everything. The finances, our social calendar, who we saw, where we went. I quietly lost pieces of myself, one decision at a time, until I barely recognized the woman in the mirror. I wasn't loud, I wasn't dramatic, but I had a skill set my husband never respected, and it was about to cost him everything. If you've ever stayed quiet, not because you were weak, but because you were waiting for the right moment, subscribe to this channel. I see you. Drop your story in the comments because I'm reading every single one. Click hype and let's go. It started with a suitcase. Derek announced another business trip, his fourth in 2 months. I watched him pack from the bedroom doorway and noticed something strange. No suits, no dress shoes, just casual clothes, cologne, and a pair of swim trunks. His phone buzzed constantly on the nightstand, and every time it did, he angled the screen away from me. I asked a simple question: which client is this trip for? His head snapped up. "Why are you interrogating me? You think you're my boss now?" His voice filled the room like a pressure change before a storm. "You file papers at a desk, Nadine. Stay in your lane." I kept my voice calm. "I saw a restaurant charge on our credit card from a city you told me you've never been to." The slap came fast. Open palm, hard enough to knock me sideways against the kitchen counter. The edge of the granite caught my hip. The sound of it echoed off the tile floor. For a moment, the only thing I could hear was the ringing in my ear and the drip of the kitchen faucet. He didn't apologize. He pointed at me and said, "Look what you made me do. If you'd just trust me, we wouldn't have these problems." That evening, I tried calling his mother. My voice was shaking as I told her what happened. Her response hit harder than his hand. "Derek works hard for this family. A good wife doesn't interrogate her husband. Maybe if you were more supportive, he wouldn't be so stressed." I hung up and sat on the edge of the bed, staring at nothing. Then I heard the shower turn on. Derek's phone sat on the nightstand. A notification flashed across the screen. A text from someone named Valerie with a heart emoji. "Can't wait for Thursday. Booked our usual suite." I didn't confront him. My hands were steady as I screenshotted the message, emailed it to myself, deleted the evidence of my access, and placed the phone back exactly where it was. Something shifted in me that night. The old Nadine would have cried herself to sleep. The new Nadine opened a folder on her laptop and labeled it insurance. After the slap, Derek tightened his grip. He removed my name from our joint savings account without warning. When I asked about it, he didn't even look up from his phone. "You don't need access to everything. I handle the money. That's how this works." He gave me a household allowance like I was a teenager earning a weekly wage. I started digging, quietly, carefully. I discovered he'd funneled over $40,000 into a separate account I never knew existed. I documented every transfer, every date, every dollar. Then came the family dinner, Derek's parents' anniversary. 15 people around a long table covered in white linen. The smell of roast chicken and expensive wine filled the dining room. Midway through the meal, Derek leaned back in his chair, glass in hand, and said loudly, "Nadine wanted to be a writer once. Can you imagine? She can barely write a grocery list." The table laughed. His mother patted his arm like he was the cleverest person alive. I smiled. Under the table, my hands were clenched so tight my nails left marks on my palms. As I walked to the bathroom, I heard Derek's sister whisper to a cousin, "Honestly, I don't know why he married her. She brings nothing to the table."
The cruelest move came next. Derek started telling our mutual friends that I was emotionally unstable and paranoid. One by one, people pulled away. My friend Monica texted me, "Derek said you've been going through a hard time. Maybe you should talk to someone." He was building a story, painting me as the unraveling wife so that when everything collapsed, no one would believe a word I said. He told me directly one evening, his voice smooth and cold. "Nobody's going to take your side, Nadine. You know that, right? Who are you without me?" I didn't crumble. I started keeping a time-stamped journal. Every insult, every financial move, every lie about every business trip. I began waking up at 5 in the morning to work on my laptop before he stirred. One morning, I stood in the bathroom, looked at myself in the mirror, and whispered, "Not yet, but soon." What Derek never understood was that my boring job was my superpower. Years of organizing files, tracking records, managing data for other people had trained me to build airtight cases without making a sound. For 4 months, I had been assembling a file that would end his world as he knew it. The folder labeled insurance on my laptop had grown thick with evidence, screenshots of texts between Derek and Valerie spanning 7 months, bank records showing the hidden account and every transfer, audio recordings of his verbal abuse captured on my phone during his outbursts, completely legal in our state under one-party consent laws. A detailed log of every business trip cross-referenced with hotel charges on our credit card, and Valerie's social media check-ins at the exact same locations, on the exact same dates, on the exact same dates. I had been researching divorce attorneys, not just any attorneys, ones who specialized in financial abuse and marital fraud. I found a free legal aid consultation and spoke with a forensic accountant who walked me through what Derek's hidden transfers actually meant in court. He had no idea. He slept soundly next to me every night, and every night I lay awake in the dark, listening to the sound of his breathing, building the case that would set me free. And then there was Miss Whitfield. Derek had never heard her name, but she was about to become the most important person in this story.
Lorraine Whitfield was my former supervisor from a job I held years ago. She was now a senior VP at a large firm. Sharp, fearless, the kind of woman who walked into a room and the temperature changed. I hadn't spoken to her in years, but I called her one rainy afternoon and asked if we could meet. Over coffee in a quiet booth at a diner downtown, I told her everything. The slap, the affair, the hidden money, the gaslighting. The smell of burnt coffee and frying bacon hung in the air while I laid out 8 years of silence. Ms. Whitfield set down her cup. "You're not crazy, Nadine. You're married to a coward, and cowards always underestimate quiet people." She connected me with a top-tier divorce attorney named Catherine Herrera, someone who owed Whitfield a favor. After reviewing my evidence, Catherine agreed to take my case at a reduced rate. Then Miss Whitfield said something I'll never forget. "I have a position open at my firm. Better pay, full benefits, a fresh start. The job is yours whenever you're ready. No strings." Meanwhile, Derek grew bolder. He stopped hiding the affair entirely. He took calls from Valerie in the next room with the door open. He came home smelling like her perfume and didn't bother to shower. He told me we were going to his father's retirement brunch next month. "Just smile and don't embarrass me. That's all I need from you." He had no idea that I had already signed a lease on my own apartment. I had moved key documents to a safe deposit box. I had filed preliminary divorce paperwork. He was planning a party. I was planning an exit. And he never once thought to check which one of us was 3 steps ahead. 2 weeks after the family brunch, where I played the role of the dutiful wife one final time, Derek received a formal letter. It requested his presence at the office of attorney Catherine Herrera for a matter regarding the dissolution of marriage. He stormed into the office like he owned it. The conference room was cold and sterile, the fluorescent lights humming overhead. He dropped into a chair and scanned the room with a smirk. "This is a joke, right? You can't afford a lawyer. What'd you do, Google free legal help?" I was already seated, calm, composed, wearing a blazer I'd bought with my own paycheck from my new job, a job he knew nothing about. Catherine opened a folder and began. She laid out every piece of evidence, the affair documentation with dates and photos, the hidden bank account, the financial transfers, the audio recordings. Derek's face changed slowly, like watching a mask crack and fall away piece by piece. "Where did you," he whispered, "how did you get all of this?" I spoke for the first time. "You told me to stay in my lane, Derek. Turns out my lane is documentation, organization, details. All those boring skills you laughed at, they built this case." Catherine explained the law.
Derek's financial fraud, hiding marital assets, funneling money to a secret account, constituted marital misconduct. Combined with evidence of the affair and the pattern of emotional and physical abuse, I was entitled to a significant and favorable settlement.
Derek tried to threaten. My family will destroy you. My mother will make sure you never. I cut him off. Your mother told me a good wife doesn't ask questions. I stopped asking you questions, Derek. I started asking the right ones to the right people. His voice cracked. Nadine, we can work this out. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. You slapped me and told me to stay in my lane, so I did. And my lane led me right here. I slid the signed divorce papers across the table. The sound of paper on wood was the loudest thing in that room. I stood. I picked up my bag. At the door, I paused, without turning around. Don't contact me. My attorney will handle everything from here. The door clicked shut behind me. The hallway was quiet. My heels tapped against the floor as I walked toward the elevator. I pressed the button and waited, and for the first time in 8 years, I breathed. 6 months later, I'm sitting in my own apartment. It's small, clean, and quiet. Every corner of it is mine. I'm thriving at Miss Whitfield's firm. I've already been promoted once. The divorce was finalized. I received the majority of the marital assets due to Derek's misconduct. The hidden account was fully recovered, every single dollar. Derek's family tried to fight back, but the evidence was irrefutable. His mother stopped calling after Catherine sent a cease and desist letter. Derek and Valerie didn't last. She disappeared the moment the money dried up. My friends who had believed his lies reached out to apologize. I forgave them, but I set firm boundaries. I started journaling again, not as evidence this time, just for me. I'm writing the stories I always wanted to tell. He said I couldn't write a grocery list. Now I'm writing my life on my own terms. He told me I was nothing without him. Turns out I was nothing with him. The moment I left, I became everything I was always meant to be. If someone ever made you feel small, if they controlled your money, your voice, or your confidence and told you it was love, I want to hear from you. Subscribe to this channel and share your story in the comments. You're not crazy, you're not alone, and your quiet strength is more powerful than they'll ever understand. Click hype to help this story reach others who need it. Standing up for yourself is tough, especially when the person hurting you is the one who promised to protect you. If you've been there, subscribe and become part of our community. Let me know the story helped by clicking hype, and tell me where you're watching from. I love seeing how far these stories travel. You matter. Thank you for being here.